here, obviously a chiropractor, energy chiropractic. We've got Tasha there as well, who's also another chiropractor here. This is our general, what is our mission here at Energy Chiropractic, is to help people get well, stay well and live the best life possible. I hope we're on the journey of getting you better. Obviously all a bit different parts. But what we're doing today is obviously we don't always get loads of time to explain to you what we're doing, or maybe spend some more time on things you can do away from here to help yourselves. This is what this is all about. So we're going to really hone in on the big picture of what's going on, where health comes from, things that construct your health, and then narrow it down to what actually is impacting you guys more, and things we can really focus on you specifically. So I always think that we don't really get told much about how amazing the human body is. So I'm going to spend the next 5 or 10 minutes talking about how amazing the human body is. But the main 3 things we're going to find out is we have an intelligent system in our body that works with us every second of every day. It's there to help us regulate functions that we didn't have to think about, which is obviously part of the amazing intelligent system that we have. We're also going to go over the reasons why we start to get problems, which is a lot of the times people just want answers when they have health issues. So we're going to cover a lot of the reasons we get issues, and then obviously when we know the reasons, we then know things to do to help them. So that's what we're going to go and say. This part is where I want you to be more related to what's going on, because I don't want to be very generic, like I said. I want it to be more narrowed into what's going on with your life and how we can improve that. So, the intelligent system, you can call this anything you want. In chiropractic, we call it innate intelligence. It just means that intelligence is in our body. Like where we're sitting here now, our body's breaking down about 1 million cells every second, every day, rejuvenating new cells. We don't have to think about that. And it's constantly going. It's the thing that keeps our heart beating. So when we sleep, it allows us to regulate, allows our body to keep functioning, keep working, keeps pumping blood around the body so we get oxygen to it, so we can have energy, so we can move. The list goes on that it does constantly when we have to think about it. It also digests our food. So when we eat foods, that allows us to use the nutrients to then allow our body to use energy to then allow us to function. Okay? There's also breathing. We breathe a hell of a lot. Sorry, it's been the wrong way. Sorry, Luke. There we go. So breathing's another one. We don't have to worry about breathing. We just do it all the time, which is great. We put oxygen in our body, we excrete carbon dioxide, allow our body to keep regulating itself. We are an upregulated system that's always working, and we don't have to think about any of this. And this is the intelligence we're talking about. It also is the intelligence that controls our healing patterns. Because when you cut yourself, you don't have to think about healing it. Just expect it to heal eventually. And that's where a lot of the problems that we tend to see is like, why aren't you healing better? What's stopping your body from healing? And that's what we need to focus on. This is always working well. Why does that fail? Why are you not working better? Why are you not healing? This is where this becomes important. You'll find the things that stops your body from healing properly. But this is always going on all the time. And I think we really do forget how intelligent and how complex that is with day-to-day life. We still haven't found anything more diverse and more sophisticated and more complex than the human brain in all the universe. Still nothing that we found that's as complex as that. And that's where this is the part we need to get to make sure it works well. Because we have all the power and everything that we need in us. We just need to find out why it's not working so well. Okay. So, what controls all this system? Well, we have a physical system that runs through us, and it's the nervous system. So the nervous system will consist of different parts. Anyone have any idea what they would consist of? What's the most important organ in the human body? Nice, I get half a few times. So the brain. So the brain sits here, and it is the master control center. It controls everything that we do every day, and the only way it can control everything else down the way, it has to have a highway system to communicate. That highway system will be your spinal cord. This will run down the core center of your spine. It's super important that we have a housing system for the spine. So, but everything branches off each segment to the rest of the body. So then your big toe can get told from the brain when you kick it, something on the, like your beds or something, you know you've kicked something and it hurts. Same with your hands. You put your hands in hot water, you want your body to tell you put your hands in hot water. So this response is worked through the nervous system with the peripheral nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is the one that automatically works all the time. This is like our digestion, it works all the time and is always regulating itself. This is what they call the second brain as well. The autonomic nervous system is where it sits with your gut. So that's also another super important part that's also regulating the rest of the body. But this is what our body uses to regulate itself, by communication. So when we have good communication, the body works well. When we don't have good communication, things start to then malfunction. And that's what we've got to find out. Like, one, what's decreasing the flow of communication, and then how can we improve that? So what do you think decreases the flow or decreases the communication between your brain and your body? Trapped nerves will be more, it's an aftermath of the symptom, completely correct. But what would be the reason why that would happen in the first place?
Crossfade.
So if this term, you said spine. Trauma. So they're all right. It was a very vague name of what can be. It's just under as stress. So stress is what causes you to have problems. But stress is a very vague term too. So there's lots of different forms of stress. And the simple definition of the stress is your body's reaction to any requirements or adjustments or responses it needs to. So technically there are good stresses, there are bad stresses. But there's always stress that will cause us to have issues. Do we know the major stresses that impact the body? These are vague terms as well, they're categorised. There are loads more categories they can relate to as well. So the 3 to 4 main are physical, so physical stress, chemical stress, mental stress and emotional stress. They would be rough categories that we could put all our stresses in. We have more now with like Wi-Fi, internet, or there's loads of others, like radioactive stuff we can relate to as well. But this is what causes our body to not function as well as stress. So when we have an optimized body working well, when we have these stresses that fit, so when we have, I always use this as an easy analogy, imagine we have like a pint glass, and I don't have this with me. We have a pint glass and we fit physical, chemical, emotional stresses in this pint glass, our body will be able to communicate with the brain properly. That means we can function properly. We can respond to what's going on, our body then can adapt to that response, we don't get issues. This then means we have a state of ease. Ease just means that we can keep regulating itself no matter what. Then we have health. We feel good, we notice we're functioning well, we get a day's life, we have good energy, everything else. This is where we start to feel good, and this is where health will stem from. When we overstress the body, so when we stress the body too much physically, chemically, emotionally, can be one of them, can be all 3 of them. It can be a variety of all of them. This will then start to cause a miscommunication between the brain and body. To start off with, you might not know this. Like, it could be something that's just going on, you don't really know that's actually happening. But then you might notice that things just don't start to work as well. Like, you do a certain thing, like, that doesn't work so well, or my energy levels are dropping, or I'm not sleeping as good, or I'm reactive more than I used to be. Then you start realising the body's not working well. Then that starts to notice that the body's now not in a state of ease. You're now under a bit more stress, you can't cope as much, you're feeling things are getting on top of you. This is where dis-ease will start to come in. Because your body, over a period of time, is breaking itself down because you haven't allowed it time to recover, because you've stressed it too much, the body will then start letting you know by giving you a symptom or sign. That's how our body will tell you there's a problem. Then we have poor health. We then start noticing our health is not great, then we feel bad. This is when people start to take note, is when we get down to these points, like, wow, we've got a bit of a disease, I'll be fine, I'll go away. And that's when people start to take notice, when we're like here and downwards. But you've gone through a whole process before that. Your body's tried to adapt to the stresses, and we just keep ignoring it. And we think things will change. But that's where the cause of all these problems will be somewhere in there. Physically, chemically, emotionally, you're bombarding your body with way too much. Simply put, you're overflowing your pint glass. Your body can only tolerate certain things. If you overflow that over a period of time, it will only be able to tell you that by giving you a symptom or something. So, we need to find out what causes stress to our bodies. So we're going to break down each stress now. So we have physical stress. There are loads of physical stress, and this will be based on this person's life. But have you a rough idea of what things can cause our body stress physically? Maybe let's just go with it. Exercise is one, yes. So too much exercise. So for me, I'm not a runner, I don't like running. If you ask me to run a marathon, I would hurt myself because my body's not got the ability to adapt to it. It's like if I go and try and squat 250 kilos, I've got no chance, I just triple. We have a tolerance our body will adapt to, so stress is one through exercise. We have a capacity how much we can handle, definitely. Even though exercise is good for us, it still is a stress. Anything else? The one we see most common, lack of movement throughout the day. So a lack of movement throughout the body, I mean, you could reel off a whole talk just on lack of movement, how it impacts the human body. But a lack of movement just means that the body doesn't have time to regulate itself. You stiffen up, the body will adapt to what you're doing all the time. So that's another one. Sitting and poor posture is another big one we tend to see. We always have to remember one of the major stresses we have that keeps us to this ground is gravity. So gravity is pushing you down every minute of every day. So if you're in a bad position, it will adapt to that position. And that's where we start to see posture have an impact on how our body works, because we spend all day like this, and then we try and move it, and it's adapted to us doing this. Of course it's not going to work. Then we have spending too much time on technology. So spending too much time on technology is another one. We end up being more static than usual. Then we have accidents or injuries. These are the obvious ones. If you try and run through a brick wall, you probably can't. So, but that means as long as your body, if you can't beat the opposition in terms of physicality, your body will break itself down. So if you are exceeding what your body can handle, you will cause injuries. There's also exercising too much. If you exercise too much, you're breaking too much muscle tissue down, you will then start to fail after that too. So there is the thing, you need too much exercise. That's why I use marathon, because I hate running. So that's why marathon makes sense, because that's why so many people get injuries when they run. They haven't trained their bodies to be able to run that far. And then lack of sleep is another one. So this is going to be in all of them. I don't think I've put them in all of them. But understanding back to this, there's certain things that will allow your body to increase its capacity to handle stress. One is sleep. Sleep is the main thing that will regulate our body to allow us to handle more stress. We all know that. Being hungover, next day you've got kids coming at you, like, go away, I'm going to kill you. So we get that because your tolerance is very low because you haven't recovered. That's why sleep's important, because that reduces your capacity. Also, this is also what we do as chiropractors. Our job as a chiropractor is to allow your body to adapt to stress better. That's basically what we're doing in a more complex way. But when we adjust you, we allow your body to then start to heal, so you'll handle more stress. Because if you aren't moving or you've got injuries, your capacity becomes less. That's why your day-to-day activities become harder, because of that. All get physical stress. Makes sense. Any of you see on there, you're like, I do that a lot. But this is why we get issues, and this is where the lack of movement for work has been the biggest thing we tend to see a lot more, and that's where we start to see more problems with the spine, definitely, because if you sit like this all day, your body's going to adapt to that position. Next one is chemical stress. Now this one I think people get more confused with, chemical stress. But this is what we either put in our bodies or we don't put in our bodies. So we get this at a grand scale. If you don't have enough vitamin C, you get scurvy. We get deficiencies, you just don't get it happens with enough everything else. We just don't relate it to it, because you don't have to have a full-blown disease to be deficient. It can lead you to having issues. Women will probably know more, B12 deficiencies, their energy levels. We get that a bit more, women do, us men we're a little bit luckier that way. But that's another thing, deficiencies will have a huge impact on how your body works. So we have certain minerals and vitamins that we need to use for our body to regulate itself. It needs certain things so it can work and repair and heal. So chemical stress is the big one. This is why food is super important. So chemical stresses can be processed foods and man-made foods. We've only been eating these probably, I would say maybe 100 to 150 years. We've been around here for ages, and we think we can adapt to food that quickly. We've got no chance. And the way we eat food now, the way it's processed and regulated, makes it very difficult. This is where supplements become a whole new industry, because we don't get as many minerals from our soil anymore. That's the unfortunate point about being so populated nowadays. But it is what it is. But the way we process foods and the way our body reacts to them is super important. You've got to think your body heals and rejuvenates itself through the food that we eat. You either eat food that helps you or it's killing you. Either way. So that's why food's super important. So avoiding processed and man-made foods. Drink's the big one. You always say, oh, I eat healthy, and then I realise people eat 5 litres, or drink 5 litres of Iron Brew every day, or Coke. That was Tasha last time, so. To be fair, I was going to say, choose Iron Brew, but put that. But any form of those drinks can have an impact on the body. It's just the excessive nature of what we have. If you have them in small doses, just not 5 litres. Then we have medication. So, I have this is a clear statement. I have no issues with medication. There is a time and place for it. It's when you try and medicate your problem out of a lifestyle issue, you're always going to lose. Always. If you've got an issue that's caused by what you're doing every day, why do you think something taking is going to help you? You need to get rid of the root cause in the first place. So lifestyle is where everything needs to start. If you've had a car crash and think, cool, go eat healthy food and meditate for a bit, you'll be fine. Obviously not. Break your arm, go to the A&E, they are going to do the best job possible. It's the day-to-day stuff that we need to be focusing on that's killing us slowly. So the chronic issues. Smoking. Smoking is a big one. I know this one just for you. Smoking is a big one. We all know the impact smoking has on our body. The one thing it does on here is causes stress to us, it decreases our healing times massively. So if you do smoke, you will definitely heal a lot slower. It's just part of the point, because you overstress in the body, you have less time to allow the body to heal and function, just causing constant stress. Smoking's a big one. We could do a whole topic of smoking as well, how it can impact us. Dehydration, big one. Another big one we don't see enough of. In terms of, I see a lot of people who don't drink enough water. I think it's 72 or 73% water. We regulate enough everything with water. Every reaction needs hot water in it for us to function pretty much. So this is why hydration is a super important one. And it's not simple. So
Can you drink too much water?
you can. So funny enough, I'm glad you brought this up. There is a great question. You can, and the human body is all about balance. So this is where I go back to exercise, and this is going to be something I was going to bring up later, but you brought this up. There is such a thing about doing too much as if something's good. Exercise is a great example. You can do too much exercise. Just because something's good doesn't mean you should do more of it. If you drink too much water, you can cause lots of issues in the human body. So that's very true. This is why I always get people to understand temperature. We have a certain regulation our body likes to be in. That's the same with everything else. We only need certain ranges. Too low or too little, we'll get shivers or wet shivers to make us hormone. Too hot, we'll sweat to reduce. To reach that mid-zone, water's the same, near enough everything will want to be in that balance. We need to fit that balance. And that's what I mean, and this is the reason we brought this up, everything's in balance. That's what I'm saying, if you want to eat processed foods, cool, just don't do it every day. If you want to smoke, cool, just don't do it every day. If you want to take medication, just don't take it every day. There's a balance to everything. And there are good things and there's bad things, it's just making sure you do more good than bad. So definitely a good one. But dehydration is something that I think I still struggle drinking, and I drink 3 litres a day now. But if you drink certain things, they dehydrate you too. So you have to be aware of that too.
How much would you say you use it?
There is an exact formula that they say you can do it by your body weight.
Because I'm fighting with water.
Yeah, so you can do it. I need to know exactly. I need to do it again. The maths. I think it's 0.033 times your body weight in kilos. I think it might be pounds though, and it gives you what you should do at bare minimum. So if you exercise, you need to drink more. If you drink coffee, you need to drink more. If you drink tea, you need to drink more. If you drink fizzy drink, you need to drink more. So there are lots of things that cause disruption to.
You should drink about 5 litres a day.
Yeah, she's gonna even a body will try and regulate that, which is not a positive thing. If she's still young, then that's not a positive thing. I would definitely try and control. 5 litres is a lot unless she's exercising lots. And how old is she?
12.
Okay, yeah, we'll probably maybe look into that because there's quite a lot. So we didn't have this so much here, which is quite lucky. I live in Edinburgh, so I'm a little bit more because I'm in the city. Pollution and air quality is a big one. We breathe in chemicals all the time. So this is the good thing about being in Scotland. You do have the countryside, so you can be in fresh air a lot easier than being somewhere like down in London. This is where the air quality will help because what we breathe in will allow clear oxygen. You're not breathing in chemicals with oxygen. So air quality is another one we have to consider. Lack of sleep. Sleep's a big one. So this, I say, it will help everything. This is always very interesting as well. Near enough 95% of all our diseases are caused by our lifestyle, the food we eat, or the lack of activity that we do, and it's super important. This is also why we are dying quicker, because we don't follow this and understand it, but we don't get educated to do it. So if we reduced all the stress in our body and we ate better food and exercised more and slept, we'd all live a lot longer. No, it seems too complicated, isn't it? So, last one, emotional stress. This is the one that really does muck us up nowadays. I read a stat the other day, but I don't know how much this is true. I haven't researched it, but I read it on a thing, and I said to you, Natasha, and you're like, no, that can't be true. I read the other day that in 1870, which is a long time ago, that the amount of stress that we have in a day was equivalent of their life in a year. Whether how much that's true, I don't know. It wasn't resourced, but it just shows how much we stress our bodies nowadays. So, but stress can come from anywhere. This is the one that really does put us in havoc, because our nervous system will work on one or two ways. We're either in that stress response or rest and recovery. You can't be in both. There's no such thing. You're either one or the other. Nowadays, we have so many things that put in a stress response. Constantly, we're in that stress response, and that's where our bodies don't have time to recover and rejuvenate itself. And that's why we start to get issues. So, work being one, this could go on for this really. Family, lack of sleep, dehydration and poor dietary choices, of course, can cause emotional stress. You eat bad food, and you agree with you, you're going to feel corruption. Whether you relate to that or not, but whenever I eat anything that doesn't agree with me, I definitely have a short fuse. So, or if you don't eat any food, also a short fuse. Cognitive overload. We are just consuming information like there's no tomorrow nowadays. We have social media platforms. I'm a big fan of. I think they're the way the future's going, but we have so much overload of information. We don't have time to relax and do nothing. Netflix technically sitting there is still, you think what Netflix is thousands of pictures in a video. Think how much input that is to your brain. That's not downtime. That's constant information your brain's feeding. Even if it doesn't seem a lot, you're still taking it and absorbing it. Negative outlook, big one. This is what social media hasn't done so good of, because it's exposed us, but we have a lot of fake people too. So that means our expectation of life is at proportion, perspective, basically. So we expect we should be here when we shouldn't really be there. It's just the way things have become with social media platforms. Negative outlook's a big one as well. Definitely just the way the body will work and the way you think and how your body functions. So, but these are going to be major stresses that are going to impact us. I quite like this quote. This is never easy, but I do quite like this quote. It's a Stoic quote. It's happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle: some things are within your control and some things are not. This is the aim of trying to offload useless stress to you, like emotional stress. You can take baggage off everyone. So that's one way I would always try myself. I would always try to do this. Do I have control? No, cool, forget about it. That's easier said than done, trust me. But you have to think that way, because if not, you'll take everything on board, your body absorbs it. Whether you think you are or not, subconsciously you will. Because your body knows everything. Your mind knows everything. Why your mind? So, okay, so that all being said, I know that was a deep one, wasn't it? So that being all said, we want to cover a few things here of how does it feel to have certain issues. Because symptoms, very misleading. Sometimes not leading enough at all. Because if you look at all these issues here, if I told you, explained what high blood pressure feels like, how would you explain that to me? How would you know?
Hormones.
You would get them, but how you wouldn't know you had high blood pressure. You could just be like, oh, it's just hot in here. Headaches is another one. But you would mainly go to the doctor, then tell you you've got high blood pressure. You wouldn't physically be like, I think you've got high blood pressure. You might do, it's very unusual for you to do. But a lot of the symptoms you get are very vague. And that's the same with all these, like heart disease. How do you know what heart disease feels like? Generally, you know, but the doctor will usually tell you you've got heart disease. Usually. Same with cancer, you can do, to be fair, for most more people become more aware, but people it's more prevalent. But early stages, you have no idea. Diabetes, same thing. You don't know. You You go to the doctor and they're like, oh, you've got raised blood sugar levels. Oh, you're type 2 diabetic. That's why the body can be very misleading, because like when you've got these issues going on, why would the body not tell you? That's one thing I've never found that still baffles me every day. Like when you have a heart attack, why does your arm hurt, your jaw hurt? Like, come on, make it hurt here like crazy. But it happens. I had a story the other day that someone fell asleep and had a heart attack. Like, how do you sleep through that? People do. And that shows you the body's not always perfect, it's very adaptable. This is why you shouldn't focus on symptoms to gauge how healthy you are. You should use other things to regulate your health, or at least be aware of. And this is why it's important to understand the process your body's going to keep going through. You are either going to be on a sliding scale, you are either going to be moving towards wellness and health, or towards disease. There's no like middle ground. Like you will fluctuate all the time in here, but depending on what you do will dictate where you are. And this is where you come back to that balance idea. You can still be like here and doing well, but then you have a load of stress, you have issues, and then bam, you come in this sickness mode. Most people sit in this comfort zone though. Most people are like, oh, how you doing? Yeah, I'm fine. Are you though? Like, how well are you doing this? Do you get then a bit of stress, or you hit a bit of the winter season kicks in and you get ill again, and it's that vicious cycle every year, you get cold. Is it that cycle that you're going through? And then you take something, or you rest and recover for a bit, let your body recover itself, and then, oh, okay, I'm fine again, but nothing really changes. Like, are you making choices to move yourself that way? Or are you making choices that's going to go the other way? You have a choice, it's always your choice which way you want to go. Be aware of each your choice. I do also understand that your body will eventually break itself down and die as part of human life. So I do understand that periods of time when we do get older, we are going to be stuck down here more. But you still can go up that way. And this is why I always look at health as like a savings account. Like, I'm 30 now, so I look at my health as I'm investing in it when I'm 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. That's what I'm doing to improve my health, so then when I need it, I have it. Not that when I have it, I don't put any money or any reserves into my savings, so then when we hit a hard time, I'm like, great, I've got nothing. So that's the way I look at health, as like a savings account. So look at it, because the way the human mind works, we look for tomorrow or next week. We don't look for 10 or 20 years down the line. And that's the way you've got to look at health, like you're investing into your health for the future, so that when you do need it, you've got it. Does that make sense? That's why I would always look at it. So, because the human brain always be like, oh, I'll be fine, I'll stop next week, or I'll do that. And it's just the way we are. We've only been made to survive short term. We just live longer now, so we need to have that thought processes in us. So, the question is, where do you think you are? Where do you want to be? The good thing is you all have choices. So this is what we're now going to cover is choices. So we should always look at your health as an investment, not an expense, because it is an investment. And your health is something you should invest into, because deep down, really, nothing else matters. No, it just isn't. So that's why we should look at health as an investment. That's what the bank might do. East State Bank and so on, was really needed. It's there. So we're now going to go into some of the tips to improve your health. So we're going to go over the tips now, and then we'll cover all of them, but I want to be maybe a bit more specific on 2 or 3 of them that you think would be more relevant to you guys, okay? So these are the tips. I will send you these if you want them. But like I said, I try to make things more actionable for you for today. So sleep, we'll talk about the importance of sleep. Sleep is the way that the body will actually improve its capacity to handle more stress. Sleep is one of the things that I think we never focus on enough. 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. There is such a thing about too much. There is, I read recently that if you sleep less than 6 hours, you increase your likelihood of dying by, I think it's like 12 or 18%. Sleep more than 9 hours, you increase your likelihood of dying by 22. So you actually will die early if you sleep more. So that's why the balance is the right thing. So 7.5 to 9 hours per night, aiming for around 15 to 20% of deep sleep and REM sleep. REM sleep is rapid eye movement. This is when you dream This will allow your brain to consolidate memories, dreams, everything else. That's where it comes from. Deep sleep allows your body to rejuvenate and heal itself. You should be aiming for about 15 to 20 minutes, or 15 to 20% of your sleep. I know. This is why sleep's important. This is why we're going over this. Move regularly, daily, and often. I haven't put exercise in here because everyone gets a bit weird out when I say exercise. It just means do stuff you like doing, whether it means go to the gym, whether it means running, whether it means walking, hiking, anything. Just move and often. Don't make it too complicated. Literally, that's as much as we need to do. If you are moving plenty, then think about balance. Too much is not always better for you. So understand that too. Spend more time in nature and get more vitamin D. We live in Scotland. The UK is the same, so don't worry. We don't get any sun.
I'm in England.
No, but I mean generally you. Is that? Definitely in Scotland. I know we're English.
No, you said
So-
the UK is the same.
What's that?
Don't worry.
Yeah. So we need to spend more time in nature, but vitamin D we don't get enough of, so we all need to be supplementing it. There's not many supplements I recommend for people. Vitamin D3 is the one everyone should be taking. It pretty much is like, the easy way to put it is, if you go outside in the summer, like Spain, and you start naked, every single cell in the human body will get burnt. It's because it has a receptor cell, every single cell in the human body has a receptor cell for vitamin D. So it means it can function and impact everything. If you put in a research journal, vitamin D3 and any disease, it will come up saying that vitamin D3 can cause that disease. So that's how important it is. So if you don't take it, take it. You can buy them. Please look at a Holland Barrel, please. That's my one thing I'd say, because they are rubbish. Buy them on the internet, they're usually better. If you want my recommendation, I will give you what I recommend for vitamin D3, but it's super important to take. I think I only take 3 supplements, and that's one of them. So, but yeah, spending more time in nature is another good one. Goes back to everything: relaxation, downtime, breathing, movement, and everything. So, good thing to do, definitely. Drink at least 2 to 3 litres per day of water, and watch out for drinks that dehydrate you. So coffee's one. I love coffee, so this is the hard one for me to take, but it's still true. There's no hard and fast rule how much you should drink if you have a cup of coffee. I generally stick by, drink a cup of coffee, you should drink a pint of water to equivalent to it. I don't know if that's true or not. I'd rather be on the higher side than the lower side. So that's what I stick to. For women, if you're smaller, for women you'll need less water, but you should be at least a minimum 2 litres. Usually anything between 2 and 3. Eat local seasonal foods that are natural. So this is a big one, because think years ago, take 200 years ago, that's all we used to eat. Our body hasn't adapted that much since then. So good thing is when they're local and they're seasonal, they're usually cheaper too. So buying bananas from wherever they come from all year round is not really that ideal for the human body, because it's not used to it. It'll still adapt to it and be fine. We've got no major issues with it, but mainly sticking to more natural if that's the case, but local and seasonal is always a good thing to try and stick by, and usually it's cheaper too. So, I don't know if you do have any farmers markets around here? No. This is the perks of being in Netherlands, yeah, 200 weekend. So I just go to farmers markets and eat whatever's in season, because that's what they sell. So, but I would still try and do that, find people that do sell local and seasonal foods. Meat is another one. We won't bring this up with you, Tasha, that's fine. But Tasha's vegan, so that's why I say that. We have a running joke doing Tasha all the time. But I get her point of it, because the meat we have nowadays is usually processed. It's full of antibiotics and corn. What do you think you're eating? It's going to have some form of impact on it. There's lots of farmers around here. They've got loads of land. They can't grow crops on. They're going to have good animals to eat. So just find one you like and buy off them, because the benefits will come through meat when you come from those good products. So just find something local. I usually go from a place in, I think it's Pelham, just out on the borders. They sell good foods, and they're pretty reasonable. So, I use them. You can get delivered to your house. They deliver anywhere in Scotland. So if you want to do that, do so. Meditate daily. I do. I know that everyone gets a bit weird about meditation. It is another thing that allows your body to go from that stress state to relaxed state very quickly. So meditation is a big one. I know people get a little weird about it, but meditation is not you have to sit there and do nothing. You can read a book, you can do gardening, anything that switches your brain off from everything else to one thing. Basically meditation. Take time to switch off reading. This is kind of the same one. That's why I'm linking them both together. And then the last one, spend time with friends and family. Always good to build good relationships, because That's the one. Well, yeah, I get what friends are. I'm not saying, but in general, it's good to because that's what I really deep down. That's what's going to count at the end of the day. So that's what we get. So out of all these, is there anything you want me to mainly focus on more? You can choose one or two or three. I don't think three. I think three is going to be too much for me to cover. But is there anything you want to like? I want to know a bit more about that. How I can get better at that. Because these are all very vague, but they're to the point. But I could go into detail of them. So maybe, I don't know, anything you want to cover in more detail? Switch off. Okay, good. Anything else?
How do you go to sleep?
Okay, sleep. I know sleep is really good to come up. We'll cover them too. So, switching off. This is where Netflix doesn't help us. This is where you've got to go back to 200 years ago when we didn't have technology. This is where you've got to really focus on simple things. Sit down with your partner and have food together. Like chat to each other, like don't be on the phone, like come switch everything off. Spend time in nature is a big one. There's massive research that shows that when we spend time, especially like barefoot on the beach or walking in nature and like forestry, we have that deep connection with the ground around us that allows us healing properties. So I know definitely beach, I think I heard one the other day with being in the forest that has healing properties in there. But like very simple things that means you don't have to be involved in technology, you just take things very easy. So switching off would be that. Also, I've been doing it more recently is journaling to try and switch my mind up before I go to bed, because I know that's what a lot of people struggle with is they've had a busy day and they get home. This is the other supplement that I do take, magnesium. Magnesium is one of the things that helps your nervous system to shut down at night time, so that will help sleep. So it's another thing that can be linked together. I've been journaling to try and get all my like things in my head out, so that I don't think about it. So I plan what I've been doing that day. Next day, this is what I'm aiming to do. Forget everything else, and that's what I would tend to do as a routine to then switch everything off. So I'm not going to bed like, I've got to do that tonight. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. So that's the types of things I would try and focus on. I've struggled with journaling in the past because I don't really like writing that much. So I do get it, but maybe it might be an idea of planning next day. Like, have you got anything you want to get done? Write it in I wouldn't choose your phone because that will disrupt your sleep, but write on a bit of paper and do that. But is it more the point that you, when you come back from work, you struggle to switch off? I would then prioritise what you think is important for you. So I would then, if you constantly keep getting done, sometimes you do stuff for the sake of feeling you're busy. So then, like, these are things that you get done. It's a very rewarding system by ticking stuff off. So maybe tick stuff off that you're like, cool, I've got this done. Now that's what I will need to do today. That's fine. And you set that as your plan from day one. Once you've done it, cool, I can do my own thing. And I would do that as a ticking system because it's something rewarding to tick the other. So that's what I would focus on if that's the case. Anything more on switching off?
What do you think about, you can get these apps, I've thought
Yeah.
about technology that's like sounds to go to sleep to, but it's like, you've got your phone next to you to
Yeah.
listen to that, so is it a good thing or is it not?
If it helps you sleep, I don't see what would be an issue. I think the meditation headspace and I know you're talking about the certain beats of frequency that goes through your brain that switches you off. I've used them before and they've helped me. I've done ones where you listen to them and they send in like deep messages into your brain. I've done that before as well, and that seemed to help as well. I think if it's helping you sleep and it's helping you switch off, I've got no issues. I get with the phone, but now we've got like the dark modes on our phone. I don't think it's such a detrimental thing. As long as it's not near you, because you usually put them on, download them and put them on flight mode your phone, and then just leave it like that and download the thing. Because when you have it on normal, you emit radiation at the same time. So that can also disrupt your sleep. So, but those things will definitely help if you get the right frequency to shut it off. But that's the thing. But when we go back to sleep now, there are things that will definitely help. I have I live in a basement flat, so the air quality is rubbish. So I have a purifier, but it's like a white noise, so it's relatively, I say loud, but it's like I'm used to it. So it kind of is a bit like that now. But I feel quite meditative because I'm laying down, I just hear that and it reminds me to go to sleep. It's just a pattern you learn. Like to start off with, it might be hard, and then it'll get easier the more you use it, because you're training your body to be like, I'm now sleepy, which is why sound can be a good one. Smell's another one to help you sleep with that way. You can put lavender in your bedroom, in a diffuser, and your body will smell the lavender. One, it relaxes your body, but also two, is training your body to say it's sleep time. And and that's a hack for sleeping, is habits. So that's another way of doing it. Listen to it. Only listen to it at night time though, when you're going to go to bed. Don't listen to it during the day because then it might have got it massively. But if you're going to do that, do it as a pattern, and I think you'll find it helpful. So that's a good thing. Anything else we're switching off? No? Cool, we go to sleep then. They kind of switch together, switching off and sleep. Sleep, I mean, I think I probably could do a talk on its own, so it is a big one. Main thing is I've found struggling to with my sleep. I have this ring here, this is what I do to track my sleep, so I can gauge what I can find out what helps me sleep, what doesn't. The biggest thing at the moment I've helped me find me sleep better and longer and deeper, stretching before bed. It's the only thing I found that seems to be consistent with that. That's why I like this, being a bit of a geek with hacking stuff. But yeah, stretching before bed's been super important. Go back to what we were talking about then, routine. The single thing is important. If you've got children, the only way you got children to sleep well is build a routine. Get them to get a bath, have a bit of a play around, say bye to mum and daddy, go to bed, perfect. Like, they're built a routine. That's what they sleep. We're no different as adults. We just think we're different, but we're exactly the same. Technology is also mucking us up with sleep. The light on your phone, when you have this, is equivalent to the sun. It's a blue light, so it will keep you awake. So your body will never know whether it's daytime or nighttime. So I wear blue emitting glasses. That's how geeky I am, but I do have them. And they've helped. So I don't know how much they've helped, but they help. They block out light, but just spend an hour before you go to bed not using your phone. But that does counteract what we just said then. But if it helps you sleep still, don't see it much of an issue. So that's where it's like, test more things out to see if it benefits you. If that's the noise is helping you, do that. There's other things like the lavender in a bedroom, good one to do. Also having a pitch black room is an important one. Don't have TVs in your bedrooms. And even if you get a little blue light, they've done studies where if they literally put a blue light on someone's leg and it would stop them from getting deep sleep. So it doesn't need a lot. So if you've got blue light or you've got red lights in it, you don't need technology in your bedrooms. It should just be for sleep.
So what about alarm clocks?
So alarm clocks are another one. You can get, there's loads of this one, those alarm clocks run differently because they're now got these ones that they call like flux ones where they, when the light comes up, your alarm's about to be set, they light up. Alarm clocks, you can use your phone again. I get completely defeats the object. I will have an alarm clock, but I put it in another room
Right.
because then you have to get up because the noise the hell
How
out of
do
you.
you have one?
You have to keep. But if you put an alarm clock, like if you put your alarm clock on your phone in like your kitchen and you can hear it, it annoys the hell out of you, so you just have to get up. So it's like, that's the way I do it when I actually get up, because I hate that noise. So that's
I have it there just so if I wake up one of the times.
yeah, that's
Otherwise I don't want to be picking on the phone to see.
true. For me personally, I wouldn't want to know that. Because as soon as you know, like, say you get up at like, I know you get up super early, but like, say it's like 3 o'clock and you wake up at 4, you're like, oh my god, I feel so tired still. I've only got an hour. And like, automatically means you're not going to fall asleep, it's going to be rubbish. I'd rather not know, I'd rather wake up like, I'll just go to the toilet, come back, fall asleep, oh, I'll wake up in a minute. Like, I'd rather not know. But that's my own preference. So each their own with this. I wouldn't want to know, so I just don't have one. I just have mine in another room and I'm set up. I can do that. But routine is sleep. Just build a routine, dark room, don't drink too much water going before you go to bed, you will need a pee. And if you do have magnesium, don't have that too close to bed. Certain ones will make you go to the toilet too. So, I don't think there's anything else on sleep that I need to cover.
After I shoot my ball, I go to bed and sleep my ball.
Yeah.
Heat at the bar, go to sleep.
Yeah.
Well,
And if
the
you're
problem
envious of that,
Only problem is, I wake up about 4 hours later, and that's
Yeah.
the only time I go back to sleep.
yeah. So there's other things that can disrupt sleep massively. Alcohol's a big one that will disrupt sleep. Or
Don't do it.
No, I know you don't, but I mean, I'm just thinking what you just said in there. But yeah, that is a habit thing though. You've got, it's an annoying thing, but you've got to train your body to fall back asleep if you can. That's where that noise might be helpful, or getting lavender in a bedroom or something to change that, to then train your body to fall asleep again. You just develop the 4-hour sleep. You just develop that pattern that you've got used to now. Whether it's something you got used to in terms of you go to bed late and you used to wake up after 4 hours, it's like you used to set an alarm in that period. You can train yourself up anything, you just got to train it. And the first 6 weeks are going to be hideous for you because you'll get really annoyed, but it will get easier. But if anything, habits will change. If you don't decide to change it, they'll always stay the same. But I know it's tough. I know. Sleep's always a tough one. I quite like talking about sleep, so I've done a lot of research, so I don't always sleep that well. So I've done quite a lot on it. There are certain foods can help with sleep as well. I always think I'm bad with carbohydrates in general, so if I eat a hell of a lot before I go to bed, I fall asleep because my body just wants to, because it's too much carbohydrates in my body. And I just feel energy bleed when I do that. Some people are fine with it, but that's just the way my body works. But you need to find out for yourself. But in general, building routine is the most important thing I see people struggle with.
Sometimes it's hard to get a routine because there's times when during the week we're up. Some days we're up at 2:30 in the morning, other days we're up at 4:30. So it's hard to get a bit early.
This is where smells and sounds will help trick your body, and that's where phones muck us up. So that's where I would then still, if you can't build that routine, that's where lavenders and things will help with your body then training it for another sense, not just using actual clocks, because the body will go, okay, actually I'm going to bed. So that's another way, but that's where modern life's mucking us up too, massively. At that point, so I know it's tough. Shift work's always going to be tough for this. I have people that do night shifts and one night you got no job, do night shifts one day, or next week you're on day shifts. Like that's tough because your body has no time to train. But that's where modern life's mucking us up massively. That has a massive impact. That's why you get paid more for doing night shifts. Because they
We
know
find sometimes we come home and then we
yeah,
sleep for an hour or two.
yeah,
You know,
It's
and
tough.
A couple of hours later we're going back to bed.
yeah.
Back to go to sleep.
But that's where you got hackle with smells. I think I would try that. I haven't done night shifts, so it's hard for me to say that. I would not want to, but I get you have to do your work. Yeah, so I do get it. So I do know. But it's tough because you miss that whole
We have to
routine.
come home, we have to sleep, so we try not to go to sleep.
Yeah. So the other way I would say I'd probably try it is go get yourself in a warm bath and have Epsom salts, because that will train at the heat. See, when you forget to mention this, temperature will also help you sleep. Your body has to drop temperature to fall asleep. So that's another way to do it. Is have a bath, hour to an hour and a half before you want to go to sleep. Epsom salts, where there's magnesium, allows your body to shut off. That's another way of doing it. If you stick to that every time you have a bath, the Epsom salts in it, an hour and a half, you will probably help sleep at least a bit better. So I always use that as quite a thing if I struggle to sleep. Like if I jet lagged, I would definitely use Epsom salts in a hot bath, hour and a half, get to sleep.
So maybe
I would
just
also-
eat through the night, you know, with flushies.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
time.
I know.
So it wakes you up.
Perks of women. Is there anything else we want to ask me or go over?
What about the vitamins? Don't use Holland and Barrett, or getting the food tonight?
I think Holland Barrett are the company that were just there, and we were like, oh yeah, they're placed in the supermarket, on the high street, so we'll use them. I've tried to use, so being geeky as before, I will send them an email asking them where do they get these sources of like fish oils and things, hear nothing. So as soon as you know a company doesn't want to tell you where they source things from, you don't want to buy from them. So that's where I've always followed it by, like the vitamin D3 thing, you send them and it's the same thing, so you try, where does this source come from, what's been put in it, and they just don't tell you. Sometimes I'm just not going to bother buying from you. So there's lots of companies that will do that for you. If you want anything that proves that it comes from these things, then you can find out. So like the vitamin D3 I get from a company they're called Thorn, they're a research company, and they're on Amazon, they're very good. They're also with vitamin K2. K2 is super important for calcium into bone, so if you women post-menopause, that's super important. So that will help with bone density issues. So I take that as my vitamin D3 and K2 as a daily thing, but that's liquid based, so it means they can't fill it with rubbish. So that's why.
Just to warn you about getting stuff like these.
Yeah, so this is another thing that you have to choose a company. That's why I don't choose a lot. This is why I should take loads of supplements, like a multivit and everything else. I'm like, no, I'm just going to make sure you eat lots of local natural foods. And that's why I've shifted a lot over the last 6 months to a year, and that's definitely helped me. So I would stick to that. Local foods, eat as much as you can. Big ones, like, just lots of the summer, like being in Scotland, you've got like fish and stuff, it's super local. You're very lucky to be here, like down south, it's not as good. So that's where you're lucky where you're up here, like even like meat products and everything, because you've got lots of hay land, you can't grow anything, so they do it with animals instead. So that's where it's beneficial being up here. So, but yeah, definitely try and choose food first, always. And you can ask?
Just funny you said that, because I have a bath there some salt every night, and then that's how I crash out. So just when you said that, that's affecting my heat.
No, good.
That's how I crash out. So
I will put up, I will send you these stuff, and this will be recorded, so you'll be able to see this again. You probably just want to fast track to the end part, really. But if you do have any questions, please do ask. We obviously do post up on Facebook regularly, the Facebook Lives. We are getting to the point where I'm like, what questions do we ask now? So we'll be going to ask some questions, so please do ask. But all in all, the most important part of the takeaway is everything that's in your health is in your control. Everything. So whether you've been told, oh, you'll never get better, I'm like, I would beg to differ on those things. And never give up on these things, because the body can always heal and rejuvenate. So no matter what health challenge you are, there's things you can look at here. Eat good food, sleep plenty, exercise, look after your health, move. Like, they're real simple stuff that you can really do to improve your health and live healthy and stay healthy. So, good. Anything else you want to add before we go? Don't want to keep it any longer, really. I've been long, haven't I?
Yeah, it's alright.
No, I'm like, damn, I told you I'd ramble on. Oh, it's only 5 bucks.
I've got loads of questions if you want more questions.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Do you want to, okay, yeah, cool, let's go.
Okay, vitamin D, what about just a few holidays a year? Does that help?
It will help. It'll make you feel better. That's why you like going on holiday. The Scots love going to a warm country. The body thing is with vitamin D is your body will store it. It's a fat soluble vitamin, so it will help. Some people have a genetic predisposition where even if they go on holiday, they don't absorb vitamin D3. I'm one of them people. I found out genetically that I can only take supplements to absorb vitamin D3. So not everyone can get it from the sun, but you have to absorb a lot, and long term it just doesn't help. So I would supplement it still. So
Yeah, you could just supplement during winter months.
during winter months, if you're going to go away, then you can get away with it. If you're going like summertime, then summer you're okay, because you'll still have bouts of sun. So you could do it for like 4 or 5 months and then stop if you wanted to. So you don't have to take it all the time. So if that's, but yeah, good question there.
And what's your third supplement?
My third supplement is creatine monohydrate. That's for the gym. So I have, mine is vitamin D3, K2, then I have magnesium 3 and 8. There's a specific form of magnesium. It's very hard to get hold of, which annoys the hell out of me. The reason why it does that is the only magnesium that will access your brain-blood barrier, which easy way of putting it, we have a barrier, obviously stops things coming into our brain. That magnesium is the one that allows you to do that, means it allows your brain to switch on better. Other magnesiums, that's what I said about why about magnesium, certain ones will make you go to the toilet at night time. Yeah, which just means that it has some regulation with the bladder, so it just means some people need to go to the toilet.
What about the kind that's in Epsom salt?
No, Epsom salts will go through your skin, so it misses the digestive tract. So you'll absorb it through your skin, so you're not worried about going to the toilet. When you digest it, there's going to be anything you swallow has to have an aftermath for your internal body will absorb in different parts. So that's why when I take vitamin D3 drops, they have no fillers in them. So when I take it, it doesn't mean I have to swallow anything. I put it on my tongue, and then it goes from my tongue, it absorbs from my tongue. So it means doesn't go from my digestive tract. That's what happens with medicine. That's where their problem comes from, is you'll swallow a tablet and your symptom might go away, but then you've got like stomach ulcers because the medication's mucking up your stomach, because there's always that ramification of swallowing stuff. So, but creatine monohydrate is probably one of the most researched supplements. It does loads of stuff, but I mean, I don't know if I'd recommend it if you don't train though, but it still does help. I think I'll get a bit of a headache from it though, but I think I do too much. I'm still testing this one out still, so. Any other questions? Those are good questions though. Very listening from head through. You've been very well with that, David. This is the rare treat, this is.
Asking too much when I want to see you.
Yeah, this is true. If you do have any questions that you don't want to ask, obviously here now, do ask when you're next in. We are going to be doing another one talking, is that next time? I like you chosen the date and haven't asked me. Oh my great, nice one.
I'm taking that one anyway.
It's on the 27th. We are going to do it on posture. So we all know the importance of posture. This is going to be a bit more interactive in terms of stuff you can do to help with rehab. So I don't know, when we get Ross to come in this one. So Ross is going to come in, he's going to show you stuff you can do individually. If you've got a neck issue, this is what we're going to recommend. Mid-back issue is what we recommend. Low back issue is what we recommend. It'll be a bit more about rehabbing your spine to help, but we'll go over the importance of right posture, helps with your spine and functions. So if you do want to come, put your name down. If you don't, no issues. Anything else before we go? I don't know if we're any longer. If you do want to ask me questions afterwards, please do come and ask, and I will hold a stay back for more. If not, you can all go. Good. I'll see you guys later on, okay?
Right, thanks.